By Ladawn Jones, former Georgia State Representative, and also with us tonight, conservative commentator Dr.Gina Loudon. Great to have both of you with us tonight. Ladawn, I'll start with you. Your response to the president's first response and the criticism against him for not going far enough in using the term both sides, when we had an eyewitness here tonight who was there saying that, well, it was both sides. How do you piece this together?
In every protest that I've ever witnessed or participated in, there were counter-protests and there were protests. But many times, Americans only, particularly when it was Black Lives Matter or other things that they didn't agree with, never mentioned the counter-protest. He is the President of the United States. And for him to only want to point out that it was both sides when a woman died is absolutely ridiculous. He has a higher standard. Just today, he was able to get on Twitter immediately and call out the Merck president for getting off of his by first and last name, called him out immediately, but it took him more than 24 hours to call this what it is. We all know, and we all knew, those who did not vote for Trump, that this is exactly the type of thing he would do with Steve Bannon in his camp and all the other people that he's brought on. It's very disappointing, and although he cleared it up, it did not go far enough.
Dr. Loudon, your thoughts on the president's first response and what he came out with today. Was there a difference?
He talked every time about love, about unity, about coming together, about being Americans. And once again, the left obsesses over words while the president is concerned with actions that benefit all Americans, regardless of skin color. Look at the unemployment rates. Look at the way things are going for Detroit, for inner city Detroit, experiencing this whole new revitalization. The president is completely colorblind, and it is only those who only ever want to talk about skin color that are pointing to anything else. This is precisely what Dr. Martin Luther King said was dangerous.
But Dr. Loudon, I have to call you on that.
His character, not the color of his skin.
Dr. Loudon, this is about a political fight in Charlottesville, Virginia, over a war monument that is backed up by law. And white supremacists showed up with the intent to do violence, and they were met with some pretty harsh protesters as well. So who's at fault, and where does the president, what role does he have now to diffuse this?
Well, I might come down in a little different place than some of my conservative colleagues would, but I would say the slime that instigated this in the very first place is where I would put the first blame. I don't think that violence on either side is right, and I condemn all violence, especially when it's based on skin color or any other identity politics. But I will say that I think the president was strong in his condemnation of these sorts of behaviors, and I think that had he come out right away, I would really challenge the left, because had he come out right away and used the names of some of these freaks, you know, we in media, we don't like to even use the names of Islamic terrorists when terror happens, because we don't like to glorify them and elevate them. Had he done that, had he mentioned their name, I would bet you he would have been criticized for that too.
No, he absolutely would not.
Ladawn, I want your response to what Dr. Loudon just said. What's your response to what Dr. Loudon just said?
It is clear that there are recordings where Donald Trump himself clearly said, you must call it for what it is. And then he himself does not call it for what it is. This was not just about violence on both sides. Let's draw the picture here. They were men who came out here with torches, with fire, who not just ran over this woman, they were beating people with their tiki torches from their grandmother's backyards, trying to relive what happened in Confederate history, because that war monument made them feel entitled to do so. They were hitting people, they were beating people, they were out in full
monuments
militia.
Don't make you feel entitled to things.
Oh, absolutely does. They absolutely feel entitled to have Robert E. Lee
no monument ever made me feel
yard.
entitled to anything.
It may not have made you feel entitled, but the fact that you can walk around and know that someone who clearly said that black people were inferior sits in our public square still in the United States of America today does make you feel entitled. You may not notice it because you walk by and pretend like you don't see it, but
it's vile, it's slimy, but it is free speech. It's disgusting, vile, and slimy. It should not happen, but it is free speech. So I guess my my heart would be in this to have the dialogue about the victims and about the mentality of these losers that started this whole problem in the first place. But
well, the
not
mentality,
to be mincing the words of a president that the left hates, because so much of the left is socialist, and socialism is exactly what condones behaviors exactly like what Ladawn is condemning right now.
We cannot change the subject from the core of this. Our country was built on a history where blacks were told they were inferior. We fought a war over this. They lost.
Our country was built on the premise of freedom, and socialism on its face flies in the face of freedom. So if we want to talk about freedom and we want to talk about a colorblind society, then we should be condemning socialism and the things that lead to totalitarian governments that condone behaviors just like this.
I appreciate both of you coming on the program tonight. Excellent debate. Thank you so much for joining us, Ladawn Jones and also Dr. Gina Loudon.